Welcome to the Generation Elevation podcast, a conscious, connected platform for those who are ready to manifest their dream life. I'm your host, Elise Riley, a former PT, now motivational speaker, igniting empowerment and transformation all across the globe. Here at Generation Elevation, we are committed to bringing you the most inspiring guests who will share their stories, wisdom, and advice to help you progress closer to living a life of your own terms.
What is up, fam? Merry Christmas! That's right. I am recording literally the day after Christmas Day, and I am here in the outback at my beautiful country home that I grew up in Melbourne, Victoria, in Australia. So I did fly down from London for Christmas to see my beautiful family and my friends here. And then I will be planning to go back in the new year. So I thought, while I'm down, I'm going to record some Christmassy, New Year's-y episodes for you guys, because I know that this time of year, as amazing as it can be, it is an enhancer. So what I mean by that is that it enhances all the positive feelings, the connection, the love, the celebrations, the abundance. It's all amazing, right? And I just wanted to wish you all the most safest, most abundant, most loving, connected Christmas, New Year period to you all. At the same time, this time of year as well can be enhancing for stress, for feeling overwhelmed, feeling lost, reflecting on the goals that you've set for the year, potentially things that you've let go of for the year. So I understand that it can be quite full on. So I thought it'd be really great to film some episodes over the next couple of days, weeks, for you guys to come back to, whether it be this year, next year, whatever. I really think that these will be applicable for not just a one-time use, okay? I really think that you guys will get a lot from these episodes. So mind the audio, because like I said, I am literally outside in the outback. I'm going to do my best to edit any like outside noises. Like before, there was like a crow going off its bananas, and I was like, oh my gosh, please stop before I start recording, because that is just going to be a little bit inconvenient. I don't think I'd be able to edit the crow out, but like the little birds and things, hopefully it's a nice ambiance, okay? So welcome, Merry Christmas. And today what I'm going to be talking about is your food, your exercise, and your mindset during the Christmas period, during the festive season. This is a great episode. I already know it because it's reusable. It's not just for the festive season at this time of year, December, January in Australia, right? It could be for any sort of festive season in your year. It could look like wedding celebrations. It could look like lots of social outings or lots of events happening whereby you may have a certain nutrition mindset or exercise goal that may have to work around all of these events that take you away from your usual routine. So these are really great tips that I've conjured up together to slap into this episode for you guys, so that you can listen back and always take away what you need, what you resonate with, to create something for yourself, your own routine, your own journey that can help you sustain your progress towards your goals. Because there's literally nothing worse than feeling like you're on track, and then all of a sudden you've got all of these social events, all of like the Christmas time, Easter time, whatever you celebrate and believe in, yeah, like all of these things come up, and then it's like, okay, I'm so out of routine, I feel so lost, and I might just well throw it out the window, and all our old patterns come up, and that is when we potentially go off track, fall off the bandwagon, and then all of a sudden we're back to square one, and that is the worst feeling in the world. And I totally know what that feels like, because I've been there. I've been on again, off again in my past, whether it's be dieting or dieting, binging, or dieting cheat meals, and then and trying just on this never-ending loop and never-ending cycle rather than just sustaining my progress all the way through and making sure that I still enjoy those social outings as well. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about my past so that we can kind of come up to speed. And then when I do share my tips for food and exercise and mindset at the end, you can kind of have an understanding of where I'm coming from. So for those of you that don't know and potentially are new listeners to my show, new to my community, welcome to the Generation Elevation community. I'm so grateful to have all of you here, whether you are new or whether you have been an OG. Like I see you, I hear you, I appreciate you so, so much. Now, I started my career, my business as a personal trainer and nutritionist. So they are like my foundational bread and butter, okay? This is like something that I'm very, very good at. And at the same time, doing that on its own didn't fulfill me in life. So therefore, I extended and branched out to mindset, hypnotherapy, spirituality, energetics, and all the things that I do now. So I have a very broad scope of knowledge in the health and wellness department. Now, in regards to nutrition and exercise, for me, my history has been very up and down. Like I said, when I was young, I was a very stocky build. I was not skinny like other girls at my school. So I was always comparing myself and thinking like, why am I so big in my legs when the other girls aren't? And so that led to me wanting to lose weight. That was like my first nutrition goal in high school. And this was coming from a place of like punishment and insecurity and all things, and that can be a totally different episode in general. But what I started with were super low calories and tremendous over exercising. So what my routines looked like was literally 7 days a week, 3 hours on end, jumping around like an idiot and just injured constantly. So I did compete when I was 16, and I also competed when I was 17 as well. And when I did compete, I was just on super low calories. I am grateful for that time in my life. However, like I don't look back at that time and think, wow, that was so wrong of me to do, because even though I was extremely young, it gave me focus, it gave me direction outside of school. And at that time in school, I was really struggling just mentally and fitting in. So that gave me something to do outside. However, when I stopped competing and I was just trying to be a normal 17, 18, 19-year-old girl, I found that every time summer would come around in Australia, I'd want to have that, like the 6-pack abs, and I'd want to be super shredded and go back to like that comp lean body. So I would drop my calories drastically. And when I say calories, I mean calories. Like I would minimize my food intake, and then I would really maximize my training. So I'd be running ridiculously. I'd be training every day and eating way below a sustainable energy intake for my body to like maintain itself. So I obviously would lose weight, but in that process would lose muscle, and also in that a lot of other things would drop as well. So my sleep would become not as like good quality. I would also have other things like my concentration levels, productivity levels would drop as well. At the time, never actually linked the two together. Like there's so many things that you must sacrifice when you do go into a dieting or fat loss phase, like your sex drive as well. That's another thing. Energy levels, obviously, your body temperature. There's lots of things to keep in mind when you do go into a diet, or especially an aggressive one. However, for me, I didn't really pick up on these things that they were linked. So every time it would come festive season, if I was not competing, I would just train insane and I would literally diet extremely hard. And then when it would come to like the days where I'd have social outings, I'd be with family, I would literally like overeat to the point where I felt so full and so sick that I couldn't move. And this would be a reoccurring thing. Like I definitely had that not just in festive season. Like on the weekends, I would have like a cheat day, cheat meals, or basically just any excuse to binge on food because I had been restricting myself really drastically for so long. Now, when I say binge eating, like this is an actual proper disorder that can be diagnosed, and the frequency of that, it's like 3 times a week. Don't quote me on this. I'm pretty sure minimum 3 times a week you must binge. And it's almost like the symptoms of that. When you binge, you don't actually know you're doing it until after, and you're overeating to the point where like you feel physically ill. Whereas if you overeat doesn't mean that you are binging. Now, to be classified with or diagnosed with binge eating disorder, you must actually go to see a proper nutritionist or dietitian or doctor, and they can diagnose you with that. Diagnoses and things like this aren't really my scene. So just a little disclaimer. Now, for me, this was kind of my pattern through my early teens, where I would just, any social occasion would just binge and overeat to the point where I felt really sick. And then the next day, my exercise and nutrition looked like just punishment. So I would drastically drop my calories again. I would go and train literally hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on end. And I would feel in my mindset so guilty. I would feel so guilty, and I would punish myself. I would hate my body. And this was the cycle that I was stuck in for many years of my life. So I share this because I know, for those of you listening right now, I know someone's resonating out there and going, damn, like that's me. Like every time I go out and enjoy myself, I can't control the amount that I eat. And then the next day I feel like I have to rewrite my wrongs, you know? So I get you. I've been there, and this is how I felt. Now, it's really cool this Christmas and this part of the year for me and this part of my life, because I no longer feel like that. I definitely have times and days where I overeat, and that is a luxury. That is a point where it's like, okay, I'm really enjoying this thing and I know I'm overeating, and that's okay. Like it's not something that I would punish myself about. However, in the past, it would be beyond overeating. It would be to the point where I felt sick. So I am at this point now where I am not feeling like I need to drop my calories drastically and starve myself to get the body that I want. And it's funny that the happier that I've been in my life, and the more I've grown into my confidence around not just my personality, but also my body, I have found that my body shape and my perspective of my body has changed because of this. So rather than me going and tracking my calories and being very meticulous with this, because for me, I don't have a direct goal where I need to track, I've given that a break and found that in my perspective change of the way I look, my body's actually changed to the way I wanted it to look anyway, which is really, really interesting. So to close that loop of my experience to where I am now, I'm kind of at this place where the more that my perspective has changed around my body, whereby I'm loving myself more, accepting myself more, and feeling more confident in myself, the easier that my nutrition and my training has become in regards to easier to get results, or my body has changed to the way I've wanted it to look anyway. The less resistance and the less I beat myself up around what I didn't look like, the more I've actually changed to look like what I wanted to look like. So hopefully that makes sense. And this is why I share it, because the more you work on your mindset, the more you treat yourself with kindness, respect, love, and acceptance, the easier you will get results, especially coming into New Year's and New Year's resolutions. I want to say the first biggest tip here is to love, respect, and treat yourself with acceptance, because that is when those results will come easily and effortlessly, rather than feeling like you're pushing through a brick wall, okay? For those of you that potentially went through Christmas Day or any festival day over the last week or so, or this could be in the future as well, and you felt like you've really overeaten or you've binged, okay? I want you to know that if you jump on the scales the next day and your weight has gone up, to relax, because there could be several reasons why your scale weight has gone up, and it would be very unlikely that that increase in scale weight or in body weight is purely just body fat. It's easy to jump on the scales and go, oh my gosh, it's changed and it's all body fat. No, it's actually not the case, right? So we have several factors here that can impact your body weight. And I want to start by giving you this fact. If you were to eat 7,000 calories on top of your maintenance for the day, that is when you would put on 1 kilo. Okay. That is the statistics around that. It's 3,500 calories surplus to put on 0.45 kilograms in body weight. So to put on a kilo or 0.9 would be to have 7,000 calories on top of your original maintenance. So your maintenance calories are the calories that you need to survive, for your heart to beat, for you to function properly, okay? Now, if you eat that, you would maintain your weight and where you're at currently. Now, if you would eat more than that, you would then gain weight because you would be in a calorie surplus. So being in a surplus is not just about body fat, it's also where you grow muscle as well. I might even do a deeper podcast on this and share with you the equations on how to calculate your own maintenance calories, how to lose weight, how to gain weight, etc. I'll do a separate podcast on this. And if you want to hear it, the sooner the better. You pop a DM my way, because the more people that want to hear about that, the faster I'll get that out there to you. So like I said, 7,000 calories is very unlikely on top of your maintenance. So know that when you get on the scales, it's probably not body fat. And what it is, it could be several factors, including one, you're probably not getting as much sleep as you were when you were in routine. And this can elevate cortisol levels and other things as well that can impact your weight fluctuations. It could be depending if you're a female, where you're at in your cycle and what phase that you're in. It could be also how much salt you had. Salt obviously will absorb water. So if you had high liquids on Christmas Day or any day in particular, what happens is our body can hold on to water if we've had salty foods. The other thing as well is if you've had high carbohydrate food. So I know for me, Christmas Day, we've had roast potatoes and salads and fruits and cakes and all the things. And so for every 1 gram of carbs, 3 grams of water molecules are attached to that. So water attaches to carbs. So if you've had a high carb day, it's more than likely that you've held on to water as well. So these things can impact your weight and be responsible for weight fluctuations. It's also important to note like fiber as well. So my food advice for you heading into any sort of festive season, whether that be Merry Christmas and New Year's this year, or it could be any type of thing coming into 2024, is to, when you go to social events, stick to high protein foods. So if there is a family dinner and there's a bunch of share plates, make sure you try and stick to foods that are high in protein, because, well, one, protein has a higher thermic effect. So therefore, when you eat it, you burn more calories digesting it than any other macronutrient. The second thing with protein is that obviously it's really great for building muscle, and like if you were to eat fat, that's easily stored as fat. So if you overeat on fats, obviously it's going to be stored a lot easier. And then same with carbs. So protein is your best option there. Then my second tip would be to drink heaps of water throughout your day. Like for every drink that is H2O, okay, then just have a glass of water straight after. It's like for every 1 drink that is alcoholic or soft drink, have a glass of water. And I find that that can space you out throughout the day. You can sustain it, and also it keeps you full. The next thing would be if you're around like share plates or foods where you get to choose your own options, try fill up on salads and fruits and whole grains and foods that are earthy and natural. When you do that, at least like they're not going to be covered in oils and things like dressings. And also you'll be increasing your fiber intake too, which will be good for your digestion. The next thing I would say is to really be present with your eating. I know it can be really hard when you're out and you're socializing to just like scoff things down. And for me, I'm such a fast eater, and something I need to practice is being present with my food. So when I sit down, right, what I do is I actually smell my food. Some people think I'm so weird, and I smell it and I'm like, okay, wow, this is amazing. And then I like almost close my eyes down and visualize where each ingredient has come from. Like how amazing that all these ingredients have come together and someone has cooked this meal for you, or you've cooked this for yourself. But like, how did all of these ingredients get to your plate right here, right now? Like, it's such an interesting thought, and I always think of it before I eat. And then when you take your first bite, really chew it. Taste all of the flavors, chew slowly, and really savor, find pleasure in that first bite. And then with every bite, do the same thing. And this is something that I would say I do 50% of the time. Let's be honest. Like sometimes I just scoff my food down. I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot my ritual. However, whenever I'm like eating with friends, with family, I always just take a little moment to be present. And this I know really helps for my hunger cues to know like when I'm actually full. Because when I finish my meal, it's a lot harder to tell if I'm actually full or not because my food is still digesting. It takes usually 20 minutes for your body to recognize that it's full. Okay. So that is my food advice. From there, I'm going to start talking about exercise. Now, a lot of people ask me like, what should I do in the gym, or what I want to start working out. I want to gain muscle. I want to look toned. And I just say, okay, what is something that you enjoy? What is something that you love, and what is something that you can sustain for the rest of your life? Because when you pick that, doing exercise doesn't really feel like doing exercise. It feels like fun. Like for me, going to the gym is my fun. For me, sometimes going for a run, I've anchored that to holidays. So every time I go for a run, it's usually around a holiday period. So I feel positive. I feel good when I run around the holiday period. If I'm not feeling like a run, I'll go for a walk. I love being out in nature. It is fun for me going out and listening to music and visualizing my goals and manifestations. That is what I enjoy. When I get bored of that, I like to switch it up and do some sort of like dancing. Do a dance class. The other day I went roller skating. The other day I also went ice skating, changing my modes of exercising. The other day someone suggested rock climbing. All of these things are exercise that you can do to help you with your well-being. And it just really depends on what you enjoy. So find what you enjoy and what you can stick to, what is maintainable, especially if you're traveling around a lot, and do that. Like a lot of people do the 10,000 steps a day, and that's because it's quite sustainable. Like if you're traveling around, it's quite easy to get in a high step count for the day. And then my last thing for mindset, so my tips on mindset would be to journal, to meditate, to do voice notes, speak to your loved ones, and breath work. Now, like I said at the start of this episode, these festive periods can be an enhancer, especially for stress, for your triggers. You're going to be around your family, and usually the people closest to you are your biggest mirrors. So they're going to mirror back to you potentially frustrations, potentially things that are feeling overwhelming, or things that you thought you'd healed from with your personal development work. So it can be quite tough, and I totally understand that. And these tools are great for keeping level-headed and grounded throughout this time. So like I said, if you feel like you've got no one to talk to, if you feel like you can't talk to your family because maybe your family's pissing you off, then journal or do a voice note. Just get it out. Sometimes when we have all of these thoughts in our head, it can feel quite overwhelming and feel like we're ruminating. But as soon as you get it out on paper until you can't write anything more, it kind of feels like it's sorted itself out. I know I did that actually this morning. I found it, I was ruminating on a couple of things. So when I wrote it down on paper, I felt so much better. And I was like, oh, is that it? Is that it? Is that it? And if I found something more, I'd keep write about it. If I found something else, I'd write about that. And then I just kept writing until I couldn't write anything more. And then all those thoughts, because I had got them out of my head, they kind of stopped circling in my mind. So that's a really good tip as well. Then meditation, you guys know that I will preach meditation because that is for me the thing that literally gets me grounded every single morning. For me, when I'm away on holidays or when I am traveling, sometimes I don't do it every day. Like I didn't do it today. I kind of just like woke up, went for a walk and then got into the day. But I've also have periods of time, like whether it be 5 minutes or so, where I go, okay, hang on, let me just ground for a second. Let me just imagine my feet on the ground, connecting to the earth. Any energy that isn't serving me, please see you later. And that's kind of like my little thing that I do. However, if you do get time, like for the rest of this week, we'll get up, do a meditation, either go for a run, go for a walk, go to the gym, and then come back. And then that's kind of the start of my day. And it just is like starting your day with a phone fully charged rather than an empty battery. For me, that's how it feels anyway. Then voice notes and memos. That's just literally if you're not a journaler and you like to speak about things and you just don't have anyone to speak about these things to, like voice notes are your friend. Just do a voice note, get it all out until you can't say anything more, and you'll find that you will feel a lot better. Then the other one was speak to loved ones. So let's say you feel comfortable enough to speak to your loved ones. I would highly recommend doing that as well. And just sitting down and having these conversations, like potentially there could be things that you have always wanted to say but have never felt brave enough to, or you were feeling fearful that potentially you could be judged. Vulnerability is an act of courage, and when you go first, you are the permission piece for other people to do the same. So I just want to encourage you to have these conversations that could feel hard in the moment, but actually open up opportunities for closer connectedness with your family as well during these times. And then last one, kind of random, but it should have probably gone at the start with journaling and meditation, is breath work. And that could look like literally if someone's triggering you, just 10 deep breaths, just go okay, to 10, count to 10, go for a walk. But breath work is a really great one as well if you're needing to calm down and also clear your mind. Like in the morning, sometimes if I'm feeling quite scattered, I'll do a couple rounds of Wim Hof breathing, which is just in and out, no stopping at the top, no stopping at the bottom, through the mouth, 30 times, a breath hold, and then repeating that for 3 cycles. So that is all for my podcast episode today on nutrition, exercise, and mindset during the festive period. I trust that you enjoyed today's show, and if you did resonate with any of the tools, the tips, or you do try them, please let me know. Screenshot this episode, send it to your family, your loved ones, anyone that you feel needs to hear this as well, and also share it to your story, because obviously the more people that find this show, the more impact that we can have on the community in a positive way. And I am so grateful for you all being here on this journey with me. I trust that you all had a very, very Merry Christmas, and I can't wait to catch you in the next episode where I chat about my 23 lessons that I learned for 2023. Mwah, much love.
Thank you for being a part of the Generation Elevation community. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to leave a 5-star rating, written review, share, and tag me on Instagram at elise.coach. Riley. Until next time, keep loving, keep learning, and keep rising.